And I also see two paintings behind you. Are they your signature, your Chinese signature?
Yes.
Did you paint them?
They're not paint. I made them.
How?
Well, so I like to do this. I'm a photographer. So when I get the right photograph, I pull it into Photoshop, and there are artistic filters, and I'm able to sort of play with it and make it into different shades and patterns. And if I'm happy with it, I might sign it.
So see, biology it is a combination of art and science. You prove that.
1947年，马敬能出生在英国的一个政治世家。他的外祖父拉姆齐·麦克唐纳先后3次任英国首相。马敬能的外祖父、父母、舅舅都热爱自然，热衷野外生活是马敬能家族几代人的传统。从家里的后花园开始观察鸟类和小动物，到跟着父亲去狩猎，一次次小小的野外探险，都让年少的马敬能对各种生物感到兴趣与好奇。
You are the grandson of British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald. So naturally, some people would think you might be interested in politics. And as you said, many of your families went to politics. But what made you develop a love of nature rather than the politics?
Would you know? I just
Really? Have you ever think?
politics is a nasty, dirty, competitive thing, you know. I think my grandfather was destroyed by it. He died a very sad old man because he was so attacked by his political enemies. I think it's very difficult responsibility. I didn't want to go that route. But I mean, I could have had a career as an academic. I could have become a university lecturer, and I have been sort of honorary lecturers. But the academic world is also very, very bitchy, very vicious. You know, people are jealous of each other and start to write nasty things. I just saw that at Oxford, and I just didn't like that either. And my professor at Oxford described me as a lone wolf. I'm just very comfortable alone and with my own thoughts and views, and that's how I've worked. But I'm a fairly artistic scientist. I mean, I love making films and photos and writing about it, write poetry. I'm not as boring as some of my colleagues who are sort of nerds, we call them.
1965年，18岁的马敬能在舅舅的推荐下，跟随着珍妮古道尔去到非洲冈比雨林考察黑猩猩和昆虫，并担任珍妮古道尔的丈夫、国际著名摄影师雨果·范勒维的摄影助理。他说，那段经历让他决定了终身的事业方向。
I spent 1 year with Jane Goodall with the chimpanzee studies in Africa. It just seems, wow, that's the life for me. So I learned a lot about photography and close-up photography and lighting and shadows and how to control an insect's behavior.
You should one of my cameramen.
You know this mantis, this insect that sits there like this. It doesn't do anything until the butterfly comes in, then it will eat it. But it's sort of sitting there. You know, you can film it. It's boring. It's wasting. Film was expensive in those days. We discovered that if you smoke a cigarette and blow the smoke at the mantis, it suddenly starts to clean itself. You know, do all sorts of behaviors. We learned little tricks like this. 马敬能的博士论文题目是研究婆罗洲和苏门答腊的猩猩，为此他曾多次进入婆罗洲原始雨林进行野外考察，研究猩猩和其他雨林生物。
Well, the Borneo used to called by the British is a barbaric land. So you can imagine how you can say primary it was. So we were wondering why would a prince from a privileged castle chose to go to the savage rainforests to be abused?
It's in my heart. That's what I am. I'm a wild man, and I belong in the wild place. I was living on the ground. Not a lot of it, not in a house, not in a camp, not in a camp bed, just sleeping on the ground. Very intimate relationship with the smell of the soil, the little fungi, the lights. At night, the fungi glow in the dark. So you know, it's not dark in the forest floor at night. There are thousands of little lights. Some of the insects have lights, and you see them wandering about. You hear the noises. So that just the smells and the recognizing these leaves and plants, it just is home. It's home. Like I know a lot of other places quite intimately, but never as intimately as in Borneo.
You just told me that you like a lonely wolf. Why do you like to be alone, no matter bird watching or walking the jungles or just living in the forests?
Well, when you're alone, your senses are much, much sharper. It's amazing. Your ears start to hear, and you can build up a picture of what is around you. You hear tiny little noise. I was sort of aware of everything that was moving and living. It's terribly interesting, you know. I still go out alone in the woods or at night also.
Have you ever faced dangerous like situations? It's being life threatened.
Well, I told you I lost my finger to a wild pig. I've had malaria many times. I've had a psittacosis, which is a parrot disease. I had quite a lot of parasites. One parasite I had, my doctor told me was I must have eaten the feces of a wild cat. And the worm could not complete its life cycle in my body. It was waiting for a tiger to eat me. Otherwise, it couldn't finish its life cycle.
What? Can you repeat? You're waiting for a tiger to eat you?
It never finished its life cycle because I didn't allow any tigers to eat me. But that's what the worm would need to finish its life cycle.
马敬能第一次来到中国是在1986年，当时他作为世界自然基金会的自然顾问，主持拯救大熊猫项目，这也是中国第一个国际环保项目。
In Wolong, they gave me a little house quite close to the panda breeding station. I was not really encouraged to talk much to the local staff. Differences with Chinese officials who were in those days, I mean, totally non-ecological. They were thinking in very different terms, and that you just have to behave and be helpful and show that you really care about the environment and show that you really know what's going on. Meetings after meetings after meetings. Yes, gradually people started to think in a more ecological way.
Then how do you understand the significance of the saving panda of China's ecological environment and the biodiversity at that time?
When I went there, yeah, I thought we're there to save the panda. When I started walking around Wolong, I realized Wolong was incredibly valuable, even if there were no pandas. It was the richest temperate forest I'd ever seen. It was just the species richness and the number of endemic species was just mind-blowing. You know, we're doing a lot more. We're using the panda as a sort of icon or flagship species to save the richest temperate forests in the world. You know the park outside Beijing, Yayahu. Yayahu has a bigger budget and more staff than the entire national park system of Great Britain.
Wow. What?
we have nature reserves that have maybe one staff or even half a staff. One guy may look after 2 nature reserves, and you will have hundreds or dozens of staff. China is much bigger than any European country. So, I mean, it has to deal with situations from the high mountains to the tropical rainforests, to the seas, to the deserts, wetlands. So therefore, you need different solutions, different guards, different control measures.
This is Sanjiangyan. This is a fantastically important site. This is China's first national park, and it's important for biodiversity and wildlife. I hope China protects it beautifully. It's important for China and for the whole world. 看看，非常漂亮，不是漂亮，是非常非常漂亮。
马敬能在中国考察了超过1000个生境，最终选中40个最重要的栖息地，建议中国政府在那里成立自然保护区，编制了8册自然保护区评估准则，协助保护区申请成为世界遗产，也为中国政府提出了未来15年的生物多样性保护建议。在那些激动人心的发现背后，是马敬能内心深处的朴素感情。我爱它们，我到森林里去，就是去感受它们。微风扑面，鸟儿欢唱，蝴蝶漫飞，我感觉更年轻，更快乐了。这才是我所钟爱的事。